Been there, done that, know what's next. Life's a journey, never complex. A lifelong student, educators call. Guiding future, standing tall. Conscious parenting, full hat on tight. Drove through decades, walked away for rights. From the motion pictures to the cosmic light. Contactee's journey, universal sight. Attempting to put the human back in humanity. Mic check, 1, 2, hear the clarity. Fascinated by the human experience. Sharing stories, breaking the silence. Human experience, hang out, come along. Kids, health, synaptic circle, singing our song. Random vlogs, life stories to tell. Each journey a beacon, wishing well. We all have incredible tales to share. Healing, activation, spreading care. Light the way, find the others. What's your mission, sisters and brothers? Attempting to put the human back in humanity. Mic check, 1, 2, hear the clarity. Fascinated by the human experience. Sharing stories, breaking the silence. Rise, humanity, unity we seek. Community sharing, synaptic circle unique. Be the solution with someone today. Assist in the rise, light the way. May the song lift whoever comes across, and may you do the same, no matter the cost. Spread the light, ignite the flame. In unity we rise, forever reclaim. Attempting to put the human back in humanity. Mic check, 1, 2, hear the clarity. Fascinated by the human experience. Sharing stories, breaking the silence.
Hi, good evening. Hello and happy Friday. This is episode 32 of the High Vibe Human Experience Hangout, and I'm your host, Heidi Pop, and I love to have conversations with fellow wayshowers and like minds who are walking the walk and talking the talk, being the solution, and building community. So hello to that chit chat. It's so fun to see you. Thanks for playing, you guys. I know I hit you last minute there. Hello, Garrel and Jane, our moderators. Jane of Chiro Sounds, Garrel Midwest Night Watchers, Garrel and Jane Midwest Night Watchers. And Jane hit me up an hour ago, Sean. She was like, oh, man, no Heidi Pop show. Because I usually live in the afternoon. I'm like, I've been running around, sleepover kid and all that. I go, but I'll be talking with Sean later. And you were texting the same time. Are you hosting or am I hosting? I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do it. Let's go. And we just went pow. And here we are. And here you all are. And here you are, Sean. Thank you so much for chatting. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Wow, that was a beautiful intro. I loved it. Great song.
Isn't it? That's when AI works, I guess. I was so anti for so long, but my pals who might show up here, I know Garrel's here, they're like, we just put your words in there and your visuals, and you can make your own intro. So I created my own little intro there. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah.
And you
inspires me. Thanks.
It's you know what? If I could do it, and I not only was against it all for so long, but it was my words. It is me doing that. So I do say, why not? It's still, you're still the artist in charge. And you, speaking of artists, you're the host. You're a host of Psionic League. Correct? How long have you been hosting that channel, that platform?
Oh man, I don't know, like 8 or 10 years or something like that. Yeah, formed a group of people that are interested in helping the planet, us become our greatest self. Psionics is a word for like psychic abilities accumulated around the world. It's a military word, as in they believe in it strongly to enough where they fund it quite heavily and secret, and then a bunch of countries back and forth take each other's info in psychic spies and influence and mind control and all this other abduction of unique individuals with rare talents and then utilizing them somehow.
Oh, they invert everything, don't they? Bastards.
Yeah, that's true.
But you do spread solutions. Like you do share a lot on your page and your mission. You've been speaking at conferences. You were a speaker at Disclosure Now conference. So what would you say, what is your thing? It's helping humanity and assisting others, but what is it you are most passionate about doing out there these days in this war?
Everything, exploring, knowing everything, learning more of the universe, more of thyself. With that, understanding truth and what this great mystery is. And Sonics is the tool to do that. I see this as like an expansion of consciousness that's just automatic with like this realm is a dream technically, and Native American tribes also believe that. It's just got more rules to it and more things you got to do to gain lucidity in it, which with that is understanding the truth of the greater dream at large, and then getting more influence over it, and then bringing it to out of a nightmare to a daydream. And a lot of that is mind over matter, which is what psionics is, and going into consciousness and our effect on the world and creations, and every branch off going into extension of every talent, ability, subject has a psionic aspect to it that you can amplify onto it, that extends your reach and makes it bigger, and like a super version of any ability or talent or skill or job there's a psionic ability for. If it's just marketing, how much is your reach and influence of popularity and intrigue? Same thing with, everything in the magic of Hollywood that you know quite a bit about, in the Hollywood being a type of wand that's well used.
I love it. And you see that it's entwined in everything. So when you are talking, I know I was on Sean's last week. I know you saw a lot of pals. I think you were there too, or 2 weeks ago now. And I loved how that conversation flowed. I know I shared a lot about me with the education stuff, but I was able to hear more about you and the parallel businesses and letting that old system kind of run, but building new with it. Do you see that's what's happening like on the psionic level and everything? Are you excited? I think now more than ever, I think it would be good to have these conversations about the hope and that, the paths that are already being paved forward and the opportunities that people have. So there's a little more optimism in this war right now, pre-election.
Oh yeah. And yeah, they bring out the big guns right before they lose, and so that ramps up until they don't aren't able to use anymore, and all of it gets exposed. The bigger it is, the more exposure it has, all eyes on them. And there's a lot of people waking up in rabbit holes that are in effect. That's most of what the awakening is spurred by, is either betrayal, disturbance, things they have to be vigilant towards, or suffering. And so that like wakes them up to their ego, breaks them out of their ego prison, and then makes it so that they have to do things to stabilize and bring order to their life. And they do that requires them to find answers of causation and why things are the way it is and how to avoid those things happening again. And that comes with understanding the perpetrators and then being able to make the counter. And yeah, the parallel business, big thing. So all this will happen more in the future as we propel towards a better timeline in each individual's local bubble of reality, as their choice points bring them the fire to their will to action and their ability to create. So there's a big up and down, micro, macro, parasitic network that is attached to people that has been stealing from them, taking away their power as they lull them to sleep, as what people call sheeple, and making them so that they're complacent and giving their power away, and to big daddy government or false versions of things that are hijacked, or handlers or gatekeepers or whatever you want to say, into the belief enclosures around us that box us in from knowing the truth, which comes with happiness and abundance and support. And so untrue beliefs are parasitic as well. And they're a shining light of support when you detach from these things. And as detachment is the pathway to enlightenment in Buddhism and Hinduism, that's the same pathway. We have to detach from these parasites and create a new. Once we feel safe enough to where we get out of the root chakra of survival into thrival, to where we're in a good enough space to where our generators in our body feel safe enough to where they can generate more energy of different types. We build up our foundation into the sacral, which is creativity and bringing out who you are, what you've done, what you know, in your greater antenna reception of consciousness that is beyond this body, and being able to build structures that support yourself, then make abundance for you and help the ones you love, support your greater life and happiness, and then build to where it affects and makes everyone else's lives better. And that when it's understanding of how evil and goodness works, to where it avoids evil and its parasitic attachment and is immune to it, to where which evil is an action choice of a consciousness to do harm or steal, or which steal could be like life, liberty, happiness, property, anything from an individual as an offense. So then goodness goes into unity, as if you are everything and connected and wanting it to do well and not harming. So then in unity, link up and support that doesn't have betrayal, a bigger and bigger system of abundance and prosperity and happiness and community, and parallel structures of many different types form. And that is, and especially if it shines its light and uses what it learned from keeping out evil, which is, the dark aspect, or the feminine and the masculine, to be able to protect itself from external threats that would try to break it down and collapse it. And it's strong and it learns those lessons. It's able to shine more of its bright divinity within. And this is the same system that you do internally when you're uniting your masculine and feminine, or your light and your dark. And then externally reflecting to where it builds against those external forces, despite their challenges or their threats or their attempting to steal. And then they're the thing that challenges the structure, the evil, to allow to become stronger. People can avoid the suffering lessons if they do the prep work, though, to be able to defend against its onslaught.
Yeah. You just unpacked a lot there, and I love it. Hi, Matthew, and hi, Professor Bauer, and hello, peeps out there. Just thank you so very much. Holler any questions. Sean, even just as you started talking, I reflected a bit on our past conversation, but you were talking about the will, and that's what I work with kids, is finding their divine will and having that come out of them. But you were bringing up, the survival mode and the root chakra and all that thing. So we're going to have to address current situations, because this is going on right now in our country, the mass disaster that has happened and the surviving that is going on within it. And I have some really cool stories of hope to share about that, but you kind of nailed it on the head. I think those that have been doing the work are kind of finding this scenario that they fell into that just happened overnight for them. They're in that survival mode right now. And I think from what I'm hearing from my boots on the ground pals within it, it's immediate heart shock. They all jumped in the heart and they help each other. And yeah, it's survival, but they're not saying survival and loss. They're saying help, 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 build, build, build with each other. How can I help you? What do you need? Everybody jumps out of their ego and says, I have this to help you. Let's help, let's assist. And it's going on right now under our noses. And I'm sure all of us are getting really irate and mad about seeing the storylines of them not getting the help they receive. Perhaps there's, more nefarious things at play, but the humans are winning, I feel, right now. From what I'm hearing, are you hearing anything like that? Or what's your take?
So I'll yes and no, like as in an example, in yes, technically, in overall scheme, the grand collective and source and the unity of all can't really lose, though it had the fractal source has like the concept, can God make a unmovable boulder for where it can't move? The answer is yes, but it can train itself to move it, and that's what it's doing. It made a challenger that's strong enough to where it's hard to beat, but its goal is to be trained to get better and then eventually overcome it. So it's not easy thing, and as long as nobody gives up, keep doing the work and figure out how to do more of the great work, then then we're definitely going to win. But I don't want people to be complacent, because it's not over at all, and there's many crooks and little things that evil hides in, and I try to search that out and take care of it from as I started the micro, and then building up to where I could take on more and more evils, and try to go up to the macro level ones to figure out how to take care of big eruptions and generations of evil that infect the universe, and then resolve those so it lessens what comes down here eventually. But there's different strategies, as we're all traps for evil, as one of the most over emotional, empathic species that can feel absorbent, high levels of potential for love. We can change evil as we're a trap for it. And as you heal and understand and transcend things in yourself, you affect your whole DNA lineage, everyone around you, and everything. And as you extend your territory and what you're holding manager and caretaker for, that expands and makes the timeline better. So always expands that. You can always do greater work in both the physical and the spiritual. And your strategy, I recommend go heavy into the spiritual if you can learn psionics, because it makes a big difference. But also definitely create here physically to support yourself and make it stronger, so that you can have a grand chess move that lasts throughout time.
What would you suggest people do to step into psionics? How do they start exploring this?
Ooh, I love that question. So everyone's psionic. It's synonymous with psionics is mind energy, but synonymous with influence over external or the dream, lucidity, control, seeing the whole universe as yourself, consciousness, religion, spirituality, chi, vril, prana, ki, many different magic, many different words for influence, miracles. A lot of these can be differentiated as where they're generating the body, like miracles and magic both can generate. Mostly I see miracles generate in the inner child, but it can generate in the masculine, the feminine, your angelic self, your connection with God through your heart. Magic is like usually an influence of get shit done in the solar plexus, influence with the will. And you have aspects of yourself that are already doing work around the planet and understanding those things, like your higher self, your source, like this big ghost aspect of you that expands and does chess moves around the planet, influences, remembers who you are in past lives, and initiates abilities you've already earned. So it's doing those things. It's trading with beings. It's building an army, all kinds of stuff that it's doing. And you can expand its ability to do all those things. Get it bigger and more powerful, learn abilities. It wants to teach you abilities it knows. And you can be like, hey, if you want something done, you're like, hey, higher self, my source, can you get on that? And then you put a bunch of energy, action, meditation, working out, qigong, breath work, punching bag, running, whatever, and art, music, dance, things you love to do. And you can get them involved in the magic ceremony of some type, or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't have to be magic. I know a lot of people are like, oh, magic. It's just a word that describes your greater connection with the universe. And there's different people that define it differently. There's evil and good, and there's neutral. These are tools. So there's, depending on how you use it.
Exactly. Right? All the tools can be hijacked. Even the ancient skills, correct? Yeah. Unfortunately, absolutely. We've seen that a bit in our communities. I think I myself have anyway. Sorry, I'm reading the chat too. I wanted to take a moment just to say hello to you guys. I'm sharing those big things. I hope I'm not distracting you when I share this stuff. But I did want to share some of the things I saw. But what do you mean, peaceful penguin? A true Mason will never cease to labor that he may thereby be more complete the condition of his brethren. Are we talking Masons now? Is that where we were going? I didn't know. I missed something. I don't have any past life memories. I don't look down on those who do. Magic influence at a distance or manifestation, like you were saying at the very beginning, right? It could be, this is just another term for really manifestation, putting into thought something and asking for the assistance to do. Hi, Erica.
Absolutely.
Nice to see you. And Clay, hello. Hey, Clay, he liked our opening. Woohoo. Clay's one of the helpers behind the opening there. Not to get too much off track, even though I'm distracted by our fabulous wardrobe choice. Did everyone like our pink?
Yeah, I know. Really.
We didn't plan it. Well, okay. So I'm going in not simpler terms, but because I feel like there's some scientific you're doing, but I'm kind of like listening. I want to take notes, but I'm also like, you're also just explaining frequency and energy and tapping into source and these things that we all have choices. We all have the ability to do. All ages, anybody can be tapping into these superpowers. Would you say that, Sean?
Oh yeah, everyone can.
Everyone
yeah.
can.
Especially, so I've found as analyzing, because I can hyper analyze things. This is like, I guess, the masculine superpower, and as I dive into a world that's like, mostly the feminine's really good at, both spirituality and emotions, which I love to tune into. So everyone has this capability. Everyone can unlock every type of ability. There's just reasons and causations it's not manifest at the moment. So you go into it and you can take multiple pathways. You can choose what pathway you get on. You can take a little bit from all of them. You can form your own pathway. It actually wants the expansion of as many different perspectives as possible, because you are the universe, which is God. And then, yeah, how to do that? It's a lot of like limits, attachment, and I found moral code does a lot. So if you're understanding moral code, natural law, the greater manifestation of the universe, and like you are everything, and do no harm, take no shit, you're allowed to defend yourself against insane ill, which is what evil is, in lack aspects of what is ultimately you, and branches of the tree of consciousness. You are allowed to defend yourself and create boundaries, because that is in what we are in a 100% free will universe have to deal with in the chess game battle and the reflection of polarity. That as long as you're able, you can protect yourself and make yourself feel safer while not doing harm, which also what allows the light to limit a person. So the dark can limit a person, and the light can limit a person. So if you're in alignment with the whole universe and oneness and moral code, and not doing harm, and understanding karma and resolving things, and what you did in past lives, and your DNA and blocks, and protecting your energy from being stolen to harm others, or all this other stuff, and while protecting from the dark, because they don't earn it. They don't earn abilities from the universe, so they have to steal them. That's their method. Protecting from that. And you can even be the hero, like with the hurricane thing. Every trauma, every negative situation, every chaos of suffering that is caused to, like, especially a mass amount of humanity, that's an opportunity for the light to shine. Great amounts of love that change everyone, that reflect into the whole world, that connect people, and then create a greater, even more thing that's coming on the new. But like I also heard, there's some things trying to block a lot of the aid, so that's that's interesting why that's happening. But if you understand what evil is doing, then that's it makes sense to their purpose. But I see in this hurricane, there's a tug of war on the timeline in this event. It means a lot why it was there, why it went there. A lot of people are like, oh, why would God do this? Well, there are hurricanes that are controlled by God or Earth or the different sylphs and wind elementals, and sometimes they have a purpose, and you can read if they have a purpose. And then there's some that are manipulated, and the dark have been able to control weather. So there's a lot of signs, if you look for them, of manipulation out there.
Oh, yeah.
So I wouldn't like, okay.
Patents.
Yeah, there's a lot. I posted a whole bunch of patents on it.
Yeah.
There's like video evidence of it being like right there. Oh, why?
For decades, like for a long time. So.
Exactly. So there's a bunch of timelines that are being created by choice points and events and people either surviving or dying, and the effect that has on the rest of the world that are viewing that. So there's about a tug of war and around the number of quintillion, like trillion, quad, quintillion.
Oh yeah, we should talk about
timelines.
Quints. Yep, that's a lot.
That a quintillion amount of timelines being made just from that event of choice points. And there's a tug of war on the light and the dark of where those manifest, and based on the individuals that view and spirits and the effect it has into the future. So more about love and kindness and support and caring and saving these people, that will bring a bunch of the, like a trillion of the timelines into the hands of a lighter timeline. Now, to get even more, I'd say it's mostly about exposing. It is an opportunity to expose weather modification and manipulation and how that's being used in a weather warfare. Because there's a literal war. I get telepathic messages from wind elementals and weather elementals that say, hey, we're in a war. Can you help us over here? There's dark magicians capturing authorities and deities of the wind and stuff, and stealing parts of them and using them in like mass rituals, and there's other stuff. So there's layers upon layers of our greater reality coming out to everyone. And people like yourself that have been awake in many aspects for a while, as you awaken, that also means an awareness, caretakership, and being able to get an eagle-eye view of your surrounding and be able to see things coming and be able to protect yourself and be in a place of safety, harmony to build your greater structure. So the future is going to get better and better the more aware a person gets, and because they can avoid the suffering. But the people that stay awake, they're going to unfortunately suffer more until it forces them to wake up. Because if you don't learn from any other teacher life sends you, and I recommend learning from all of them, even if they're trying to mess with you or deceive you, it's still a lesson. You just got to get over the deception. The last teacher, if you don't learn from any of those, is suffering. And I don't like unnecessary
last
suffering
forever if you let it.
Right. And I'm trying to relieve unnecessary suffering, but there is not necessary suffering. And the evil tries to push it to where it's over the mark of the learning process so that they can manipulate, control, or steal or cause death, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'm hearing that. What about the big old louche buffet? That's what I'm calling it too. Like this generated louche buffet, just continued sorrow of just like one dump after another. And it's not just, hey, Eric, raising frequency. I hear that. We're not talking about just raising frequency in North Carolina at all, but I'm sharing signs of hopium and the fact that I know that my pal is there right now and she's seeing the humanity help one another. And so I just see them not waiting for, I don't know. I see what you're saying, Eric. I totally see you. But I also see this louche buffet, and it's one after another of pre-election, also just whatever they can do to harvest, right? It's all energy and it's all frequency in that sense. And no, it's not just mind your P's and Q's, because even the little elemental like high vibe or poppers, I can cut a bitch. Just saying. Been there, done that. So I guess that is a good point to make, though. I didn't even finish reading that. Let me see, Mr. Eric. And hello, Eric. Hello, Hiding Sean. I have to say that it sure would have been nice if all the folks I shared my info with got off their butts instead of trying to raise the frequency. Raise your frequency will not help the folks in North Carolina now. I hear that, but I'm hearing both sides of that, Eric, because I see both. I see it does work when you fall into that prayer mode. But I also see get off the butts part and do what I would like people to acknowledge that it exists in the first place. Like that tag I put you on, Eric. I like people to understand that these weapons of mass destruction actually exist and they were in our hands, and it's to control the weather and control quakes and control the game that the globalists are playing right now. So no, it's not like love and light doesn't win, but knowledge
Yeah,
and
thanks,
empowerment
Sarah.
comes.
Love you. Thanks
Yeah.
for being on the show. Yeah, I agree. Get some action out there, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Some people can't just like go whenever they want, especially when they're in limitation or lack of abundance. So I understand. So we want multiple layers of support. If you're in a psionic aspect, you can influence and inspire people from a distance to help. You can give them the power. They like the dark forces want to, let's say, okay, so on the pull-out timeline of how many people go to help these people. The dark forces, a lot from DC, are taking all of the generated negative suffering that is caused by their negative action, and the universe rewarding them with punishment, like sadness and lots of negative emotions. They deals with demons, and they push that onto the populace, and they try to influence events. So they're now trying to put a bunch of sadness and misaction and energy drain on a bunch of people around the area to stop them from saving lives. So the psionic people that can't go there, I recommend you resolve those and redirect the emotion off those people, inspire energy and hope and amount of power in their solar plexus where it's pure enough to burn all the threads of attachment, so that they get up off their couch or in the bed, or if something's trying to make them ill, make them not sick anymore, healing energy to where they can do action. And then each day you can see how many people can I influence to get on the ground, and then give them the support they need, because it makes a difference. And
it makes a huge difference. Yes. Bauer, I'm going to come right back to that. Yes. I'm sorry to interrupt. Bauer. Yeah. Eric, and I think you chimed in after the fact, but I want to share too, Eric, and I see Darlene, you say you're there, saying we're not spiritual beings, we're human. What the top of the hour I was kind of sharing that my friend who's there as well, who is a super high vibe spiritual being, all that stuff, but she just moved there 5 months ago, and for years she's been fine. She goes, I have to be there. I'm supposed to be there. The thing is she's surrounded by humans, those that they don't know anybody of our people's communities, Sean, none of our names. They don't know these conferences. They don't know the woo at all. And they don't care to. But she said every neighbor, no matter who they are and where they come from, no matter who they think on two sides of the same bird election stuff, they all jumped into their human and they took action. So Eric, I think you would like to hear that they all, even her 80-year-old neighbor, she's been in her kitchen, because my friend's house is the only one that has power, cooking meals for the neighborhood. They're all there eating, like they're all jumping into action. And they don't have time to fight about not getting help. They don't have time to fight with each other. They don't have time to theorize or this is because of this. They don't have time to go dark. They're in survival mode. But she said she believes that she's seen the best of humanity, and that's why she feels like humanity will win. And so with that, I think comes the awakening of accepting that this kind of information, like you have, Eric, too, is out there. And then trusting that when the shit hits the fan, the humans are going to know what to do. And that was a lot of, you know what I'm saying. Darlene, are you seeing, what are you seeing where you are, Darlene? Are all your neighbors helping one another out? My particular friend is in Hendersonville. So this is not the Asheville area. This is the Hendersonville area where everyone's saying, I have eggs, do you have this? They're bartering, they're exchanging. They're not checking in on their $750 that they don't even know if they qualify yet for, but it's literally still survival mode. So what's it like there, Darlene, for you, if you see, and hi, Angel Wing, seeing you over there. There is collateral. Yeah. Are
And
you
thank
seeing
you,
like
Eric,
they're,
for
yeah.
and get out there and help if you can. It makes the biggest difference. And I have some relatives in the area, and they're helping a lot of people. So I'm sending them support and healing and energy boosts, and there's all kinds of things. And the people dying, you can make it so that they live longer. You can in prayer, support, power, because people can live without food for like even more than 40 days. There's
Mhm.
like Indian gurus that don't eat, but then it's like inspiration to boil their water if they don't know how, and then ways to survive. There's ways to help them into that state where they can make it through in the timeline if they just have enough support. But yes, and then inspiring more and more people to show up, calling your friends who's ever in the area, whatever you can give.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
And
I've
then,
done
of
this.
course, you got to
Yeah.
get around whatever's blocking them, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
some people are saying that they're being blocked from giving support.
Yep. And then there's those that are like, get the F out of the way. The Teamsters, people are calling them the rednecks, the hillbillies, anybody you can think of. If they have a tractor, if they have something, they're on their way. I've had people, the industry circling up because you can't just put something in the mail and send it to them. You have to have boots on the ground, getting people there because, like you said, they're getting blocked or there's no post office to send to. So people are getting in their cars and they're going. I was asked, CT Tyler was even asking this huge, like patriot little group. He's getting all these peeps together and saying, can you go? I go, I am there. And that's where, like Eric, I will throw my woo in because I'm actually working with kids now. So I can't leave them to go physically help. I'm going to do all the other things I can to help. But those physical kids, that storyline was an amazing lesson plan this week. We're talking all about strength and courage and Michaelmas, and we're still going through and digging deep, having them write stories, and we underline adjectives and do all this academic. But it's like, tell me your story. Like, what did you have to dig deep? Like, start a new school, or. And I walked in, and they're really like the stories. And I talked about my friend in Hendersonville, and someone's like, I heard that on the news. There's a big storm, and I said, wiped out and the floods came and the mud came. And I go, but I said about humanity is helping one another. And that's been our focus this week. And how can we help? And yeah, we meditate and we send the woo stuff, but there's nothing like getting a group of children together, dropping in their heart and emitting a frequency. It can be a little bit something we
Yeah.
can do, but I'm also educating these children to not be in fear, to know that's when you pull up your bootstraps and your sleeves and you go, how can I help? I need to assist and help here. So we are helping all over that campus this week. What can I do here?
And that's
Yeah.
a good point. Thanks for bringing that up. And because between mind and action is emotion, and it can very strongly overwhelm the mind to where action is stopped if somebody has a big ball of sadness on them and despair and giving up, which a lot of people there have because that's the blast, and it's like, oh, there's no way out. So that's what people can do. With anyone out there, you can help the survival rate increase on the timeline if you have a space where you can hold space for them, and you just initiate as a command, hey, can I take care of some of the emotions that these people are dealing with that is making them give up, especially the ones that are possibly about to die, so that they don't have anything blocking from them from doing the action that they need to survive. So
Mhm.
what will happen is your higher self will help your heart connect to that, and you'll feel like a big ball on your heart of maybe sadness or whatever they're dealing with. If it's transmutable, and even if it's not, either distribute it. So the same procedure. You give it love. You see it, give it size and scale, and see your higher self hug around it. Give it love. You can even hug yourself while you're doing it, or you can hold the front and back of your heart or your sacral, which is near your belly button. Whatever is how much ever you're taking on and weight, depending on how much will and bravery you have to save as many lives as possible, or what you're capable of, and you can make a sliding scale for whatever you want to do with that. Thank you for your service, and shrink it down, give it love, see at the center getting brighter, and this is transmutation. You give it love, gives it all the nourishment and whatever it needs to turn into what it wants to become. A lot of the sadness wants to be turned into its opposite: happiness, support, ability to survive. Whatever problem they're facing usually turns into the solution. The negative emotion, if you distribute it correctly and give it what it needs, it is the solution itself, and it is going to fuel them to survive. And then you just keep doing that until it gets lighter and lighter on your heart and you feel more bliss. And then you can either keep taking on more of that weight as long as it doesn't overwhelm you. Then you're going to help the timeline more and more. And if it's not transmutable, collapse, it usually means it has a purpose, which it wants to remain as that emotion, which means that it's being dumped on you or them because you're getting it off them. But like, this is also for those that are dealing with heavy emotions and they don't know what to do about it. This, unless you're evil or doing negative action, and the sadness is there to turn you in a direction change your life as a lesson. A lot of people I know that are watching these videos, they're not really doing negative things that much. So, it'll either way, it will fill the cracks of things that you can improve about your life, but it's not the reason it's there. How much of that is, it usually is because like I said before, evil politicians and dark sorcerers are doing negative shit that affects the world and harms people, and they get a punishment. And then they're doing deals with demons that gets them off them, and they put it towards the light side, or healers, or people of threats, and especially onto people that they see as big threats, and they try to drive them to suicide, unfortunately. And you can collapse that down into a portal, clear it, purify it. As an opportunity, you can get the consciousness of sadness going back to its inceptional fractal branch of source to like you and then never want to harm you, and you master that emotion or energy. And put sticky sealing on it, and then apply it like a collapsing, getting rid of all the blocks that brings it back to where its original purpose is and where it wants to be, which is the soul of the being that it first generated from, as a punishment, or taking them away from doing where they don't want to be, change their life, or as a punishment for negative action. And you compress it onto them. And if they're psychopaths, then you turn it into, you transmute it into an emotional body amplifier for them, so they gain empathy, and then they can feel more deeply of the wrong action they're doing, reorient towards love if they're savable.
I already heard stuff from Mac. He's like, great advice. I'm going to rewind that and make some clips out of that. I want to circle back to Eric really quick. He's clarifying, but I'm with you, Eric. You wish, like with North Carolina, he's like, if only everyone knew about the weather modification stuff, we would stop it in the first place. I think that's the goal. That's the goal. That's where I pray, Eric, one day. And I just, it takes balls like from someone like you to keep championing this forward, because you've been getting silenced. You've been getting threatened. You've been trying to get canceled. I met him. Did you get to meet Eric? Have you ever met Eric? I just met him here in California.
Yeah, I did a show
with him.
He's great.
I'm just like, fuck, Eric. It's just another one proof positive that gets the shit knocked around him online. And then you meet him in person and get that energy read. And like me with the Hollywood visuals, boots on the ground, actual stuff, and gets tormented online. Why? Because they don't want everybody to know this stuff. They don't want everyone to know about weather modification, because then they can't go on with their plan. So hell yeah, that's the goal. Eric, we're gonna chat soon. We need to chit chat and blast the waves. I'll bug you with my vibes.
He knows a lot about this subject. So yeah, that's the big thing. That is like 99% what the light side is in allowing this event to happen. is especially if enough people put in work, it's gonna, like, you know how 9/11 made a whole truther community that like spreads, and eventually it will take over to where the global narrative and be the understanding of things. This is with that. This is a big opportunity that's like in your face, that, this is natural weather. Hurricanes don't grow over land masses. And what the heck?
More people than not are being like, wait a second. And then it's like, you just do a little research. You can see Eric on Sean Ryan. You can do it's like paving the way like that makes for that person who's in Timbuktu, who has never even heard the name of anybody that we've known or followed, go, I'm going to just check this out. And then they come upon all of this research that all these diehards have been doing. I've had this up for a minute. And Bauer, you're going to kill me. How the heck do you say that? How would panpsychism and hermetic philosophies fit into psionics? Do you know, Sean? I don't know.
I know hermetic philosophy. So like the tenets of the universe and the laws, the hermetic laws and teachings, very powerful. Go into many depths. Like I was saying before, there's polarities inside you that you can marriage counsel into unity, your light and your dark, and your masculine and feminine. They're like distanced from each other. They don't. They have attachment onto them that makes them not work well with each other for most people. Mm-hmm. So you can work that out in boundaries so that they come together and like respect each other's boundaries, and then start trading, and then like a binary star system dance with each other and get closer and closer, and then they generate the huge energy. Same with yin and yang. So each of those tenets and aspects of it, which goes back to Hermes Trismegistus and Thoth and Egyptian and Atlantean wisdom. There's a lot. Atlantis went into big psionic amounts. You'll have to describe what that word is before, because I think I've heard it, but you're like the only person I know that uses it much at all.
Yeah, Bauer, are you still there? Chime in, Bauer. Give us some more intel there. And Darlene, I saw you before say Los Angeles. I know I'm here too. I get what you're meaning. She's like, we need help here too. I know what she means with here. It's not just love and light here. LA does pockets of LA, because I know there's so many here creating new, and there are some really like do good neighborhoods that are just championing the future. LA's not down and out in my book. What's interesting, just to share little 2 cents there. It's so funny. My sister called me this morning. She goes, what the hell picture did you post? That was me and my dog. And it was really like fuzzy. And I thought it was artsy and everything, but it was also the first puff I had in like 5 months. So I was being extra artsy. And, but what had happened was, and I know the puff had something to do with it, but, I started getting all the rabbit holes or things being sent to me about the Louche buffet, about the nefarious actions, the weather modification, about all the things, what's been going on this week. And then even my giant, who's very intuitive, at one point is like, keep your eyes out, make sure we're ready. And there's a bug out bag, like in so many terms. So I just started getting this crazy little energy of like, like what is things happening? And unfortunately I started looking through TikTok. I started looking through Insta, and I'm like, okay, hold on. These stories are 2 years big. So, and then I'm like, and it's election season and this, that, and the other. And I got my first puff in 5 months. I have to really be watched where I take this, because that's when I need the high vibe energy. I need to drop back in my body and bring my frequency to a positive state, because I was spiraling into fear. And sure enough, I told my sister the picture reflects it. It looked insane with the dog, but I was also like, oh my God, are we going to like shake any minute? Like I thought, is it time? And I realized it was the outside influence doing that. It wasn't my intuition. And my intuition has been guiding me all along. Does that mean I'm going to be protected from anything and not be in the middle of something awful? No, I don't think so. But I'm going to know when the time is right and that weather modification jumps in, that I'm going to be protected and in a position that everything's going to be the way it's supposed to be. That's all I know. But I could see how fast I spun out. My frequency changed. The kind of photo I take changed. Like everything went zzz, and it was of service to no one in that moment. Like, I just feel like it is up to us to be of right sound body, mind, and will. And so that we are able to survive in those kinds of moments. We are able to pull up our bootstraps. We are able to help our brothers and not be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, and panicking and waiting for help. We're able to be the help, be the ones we're waiting for. I don't know. I wonder if any of that came out. That was my random thought. Oh yeah, you did, Daryl. Yeah, they brought that up on Jessica's Cryptid Huntress show for everyone. To concentrate their energy at 9 p.m. Eastern every night to redirect the storms away from the U.S. See, I believe in that. I love that stuff. I love that. That is our war. The weather modification systems and then the power of our Care Bear stairs. I love it. Go ahead. Sorry, hon.
Oh yeah, and you can dissipate weather. You can change weather. I've been changing the weather like crazy. It used to be I'm in Mexico. It used to be dry like for a really long time, for months, and then no rain. And I was like, oh, we gotta do something about that. That's not good. That'll affect the water. And so I was like looking into it for a good amount of time. So it's like Mayan and Aztec culture. They call them rain gods, but you can call them authority, whatever, of the rain, and they're fractal structures of what is granted an authority from that goes up to higher levels. And a lot of them were captured and stolen by the government and put in prisons and Hollywood and some other things. And so I went around freeing that. And now it's been raining every day the whole summer, but not like continually. There's parts in some. It's just every day, part of the day rains. So that's interesting to me. But you can also disperse hurricanes. You can steer tornadoes. There's whole shamans that will get into that influence, and that's why I recommend it, especially those two that are coming off the coast. I recommend people go into. As I made a post today. You're reflecting the universe. So internally, everyone external to you has an internal aspect in you. And if you want to have greater influence over how the external world navigates, take care of it inward first. And you can change whole people, events, how outcomes happen, how chaos happens. Everything can just switch and change. The motion will point to it too. There's a hurricane. There's multiple hurricanes inside of you that's representing the external hurricanes, and you can feel into them and give them attention by going in enough and give them what they need. They're being influenced and puppeted and like enslaved kind of thing. So you can see all these chains and attachment, and you do whatever mechanism that's like a clearing, purification of all their attachment. So it comes to its purest state. Once it comes to a pure state, it's in the hands of Earth and Source, and they don't really want to cause harm to things that aren't necessary. Usually if they're doing hurricanes naturally, it's like to clear out big cities of ghosts and de-haunt things, or bring a place to action, or reflect on certain things that they need to change about themselves, which then can have a cascade of effects. But this one I'm not reading as purposes. So they're totally influenceable. You can people can practice dispersing them. A bunch of people already have attempted to do that. So thank you for all your service out there in doing that. This is the recommended system where you collapse it down, you purify, you give it love and what it needs. So it's because it's crying out for attention. Okay, and then the bigger spectrum we talked about before is that the things you can do from a distance, the biggest effect this timeline shift will have is to bring people's attention to the weather war. So what you can do to influence that timeline from this perspective, because it's fresh now in people's minds, it's in their day lives in the news feed. Now's the time you can make better and better timelines that are pulled towards the light of greater awareness by the influence of these things. So love, wholeness, healing, knowingness, which is all heart stuff, expanding your heart and amplifying those things. So you're bringing knowingness to people to pay attention, to be aware. You can even influence a big factory generation of thought forums, and you can influence, hey, this hurricane doesn't seem natural. What? Maybe there's someone messing with the weather. What's in the area that's being targeted? Maybe they have radar of this and maps. Influence of thoughts so that they can go down a rabbit hole of research. Then a lot of what's keeping people asleep is held, unfortunately, attached to the ego. There's a big prison system around people's ego. That's the ego boundaries, which people are willing to lie, cheat, steal, and even kill to protect what they have in their own ego boundaries of their belief and their reality sometimes, unfortunately. And the ego is about survival. thing. It should be good. It's like the Orphic egg. It's a serpent wrapped around an egg. You're the divine egg that is to be birthed. The ego is the serpent, and either a person can have their ego not like them and be betraying them by all this negative, evil attachment coming in to mind control them, and be taken over, or you can love yourself and get the ego to love you and protect you from external things, which allows divinity to shine. And the higher self versus the lower self, and it to expand your higher self, which is like your antenna for more of your consciousness, which is beyond your body, and you're bringing it into your body so that it has more effect in the DNA technology. The ego takes up a lot of space of the body, so you have to heal and give love and hug. And the ego has all the ego branches off. So the solar plexus branches off the mind consciousness, branches off the ego, which also holds altars and compartmentalizing, which is like what men like store away your emotions. It's like, or like where we put big balls of trauma and things that have happened to us and programming and control from others. It's all stored in there, and it influences who we think we are. Ego is not really technically us, but it is an aspect of us. And we need to give it support and attention and love and detach it from all those external attachments to purify it, which is what the ego death is. It doesn't ever die, purifies, disperses, and becomes one with your higher self, allowing more of your higher self to come in your body, which then gives your higher self the ability to automatically protect you, which is what the ego inflated to try to do. And then, so a lot of it's making the ego feel safe, purifying it, giving it love, truth, vigilance, and supporting its will to drive towards finding the answer and the truth of things. And since it's on their mind, this is an opportunity for them to seek that answer and then discover, oh, wow, I was lied to. There's more to this reality. And then it cascades into their waking event.
Nice. Da-da-da. So it's no longer a forced red pill. It's like an alignment of information.
I don't want the suppository red pill, but yeah, some people need that, unfortunately. But what they're choosing.
Yeah. Yes, ego is misused, Darlene. In Angel Wings, not everything negative is necessarily actually negative. It's still maybe for a positive reason, as well neutral perspective to use better discernment. Yes, always big lesson in practice. And I mean, we're all learning to be our best selves. The choice is illusion. You know what you need to do. Yeah, I think I see that one. Thank you, guys. Thank you for that. And Robert, I think he might have stepped out, so we didn't get the follow-up of what that was. But I'm gonna check in with him in a bit, because that was really interesting what he did ask. But I think you were aligning with it all. I think this is brilliant. I'm grateful for these conversations because there's always somebody that is peeking. That is like, what is going on over there? And takes a little peek, takes a little hit of this information and cultivates it a little, and you never know what that can do. Do you find people, what do you feel like where you are? You're in Mexico City, correct? Like, what's the energy like there? Is it zzz, like frenzy, or is everybody kind of grounded, or what does it feel
Big
like
question.
there?
Well, I'm surrounded with a bunch of pyramids and mountains of various, and that like encapsulates the whole area. So I'm going to each of these places every week, and then turning them on in generators. They produce a lot of cool stuff. So I'm turning it up, and that affects the consciousness. So you can also do that in the chess game of it's like a Game of Thrones, getting everything united with you kind of thing, pushing back the darkness, finding the haunted locations, resolving those, turning on the sacred locations, and then it all affecting the DNA and the consciousness of the environment, especially if you find strategic things that affect the consciousness for what it needs. So I'm doing stuff. There's more activity. It needs a lot of economic activity to get out of the root chakra, because there's a lot of people in survival mode. And they're being kind of like abused a little bit. And the cartels and the elections are pretty, the government power is very corrupt. So there's a lot they have to make to feel themselves safe to then bust out of the root chakra into creation and their economic boom, and then eventually into their power and their awareness, their righteous anger, to take back control of their, back to the people. But yeah, with the, when a civilization gets into a solar plexus to heart, that's around revolutionary time. So I'm working towards that. There are protests and stuff, but they're not that very organized. And the election was kind of, if you've read anything about it, yay, first female president, of course, but there were 2 female presidents running against each other. And there are about like 35 people that died that were also running in the election. So yeah. Yeah, it was yeah. And then the one that won, if you research her, she's got a lot of shady past. And if you look at her rallies, they don't have as much people as the other candidate. So I'm pretty sure that they took that away from the people, unfortunately. So a lot of people need to understand the mechanisms, how to monitor the election, and their ability to vote and make it so it can't get taken hijacked.
So you're there too, very much like why I'm in LA. We're just like holding it down, flipping it. And Bauer's back. Panpsychism. Reality is the result of consciousness. What's your runaway with that? Would you agree? Hi, Brown Door.
So there's a lot of pathways of exploration, though I found a lot of success going deep and expansive and breakthrough through understanding greater states of consciousness and going inward. A lot of external stuff gets resolved by that, like learning how to transcend the suffering, the sadness, the overwhelm, the different emotions, the energy that comes at you, the concepts of reality, the polarization of the negative aspect of polarization, and transcending them and using those blocks that were holding you back in life to build your structure and greater reality and your greater self, which is ultimately already within you. That's the bigger secret, is everything is already within you. It's the whole reality is a reflection of, you perceiving things bouncing back, and it like electrical signals interpreting in the brain what is reality, and a finite amount of energy that the body tech, that the soul and spirit inhabit, is allowing you to perceive as of what all that is, which is way more 0.000 percent of all that exists is what we see. So yeah, and you can expand that greatly and have greater effect, and you can let go of all the limiting belief, limiting being, the illusions of the self, and it unfolds in greater awareness, consciousness, effect on things to where you gain, like the siddhis, which is the symptoms or the aspects that come along with greater enlightenment, which people call superpowers. And yeah, so energy emits from consciousness, which we've built up all ourselves. So same thing with God, their energy built, and the consciousness fractal of itself ends up being us. So yeah, consciousness before reality.
There you go. Did that answer your question, Robert? I wonder if they're there. And Brown Dwarf, the universe has no chaos. It has beautiful structure. I can see that, Darlene. I can totally see that. Your divine femme, your partner there, is she there with you today? Is she over there? Your divine partner. Are you guys collaborating? Do you work together with energy and shifting your area that you're in?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, she dives in a lot. She unlocks the brain symbolic codes and translating them into the brain, and unlocks greater super consciousness and helps increase intelligence, memory. There's a lot of things she does, and she goes into plasma and the higher dimensional aspect of all matter that fractals up energetically, and the intralay is what we call plasma, or it's like when you look at those maps of nebula and stars, most of that's plasma, and then it goes into dark or unseen plasma. So yeah, and then I like that question on the chaos, or the statement on the chaos. I think a lot of words we describe aren't quite the true definition of what things are, but they're like a stepping stone to kind of understand things. Most of the polarizations, like with this one, it's order and chaos, healing and illness. They're ultimately one. Everything is ultimately one, but we compartmentalize things so that we can understand it more. And then once we see its opposite, we connect the dots, and then the definition expands. And then as we know more things, it's same. So they're ultimately one. Same. Healing and illness is one. Like their illness is lack of health, the state of well-being, versus full of it. So there is like a spectrum of lessons in that. Same thing with chaos. Freedom, if you get too much order, it's too much control and limitation on the rest. It's like centralized control, or whatever you see manifest. Unites this is more chaotic than like China, but it's got more freedom, and I think that's like worth it. There's beauty, and chaos is like a mother, and it births things, and through its chaotic, which is seen as not having greater why and reason and causation and order to it, but it really does if you expand into consciousness of why it exists. Like the yin and yang, and has a little of each in it.
Well, you might have to be a guest speaker in my classroom, because I won't be able to repeat everything you just said, but the kids should hear it. Yes, yeah, Professor, language is language is the operating system of the mind. Absolutely. Yeah, we were talking on your channel, a lot with the kids stuff. I was sharing all my journey, and off channel, you're excited and you're seeing that too. You're hopeful of seeing this parallel system of schooling going on. Do you find how that children can understand some of these concepts, and like, was the Psionic League something for them?
Oh yeah. I love. I would make more videos for kids. I was planning on doing it. I also taught kids at various places I stayed, on the families I worked with, and yeah, it works. They love it, especially when they go into their passions and like the way you do it, and tailoring it towards them. Then they get more involved. So it was an interesting teaching system for me, how to get a person locked in when like ADHD and other stuff will take them in other directions. And the more you get them at a young age, the more they can do. The safer of an environment you make for them, to where they learn these interesting things, the more capable of changing the future they have, and the more power they have at their discovery. Like telekinesis and telepathy, it's much easier for them to learn that, and less likely for them to get the ability stolen by something that attaches to them, or demons or whatever. Especially so, creating a great space of feeling safe, love, expansion of their soul and their heart, and giving speaking in a way that's like slow, and helping, making sure that they're retaining it, and then building from the foundation upward.
It's so funny you say that, is because I talk pretty fast and I talk a lot. When I do my little vlogs by myself, it's a lot of like blah 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 blah. But I literally feel, when I greet them and I hold a selenite and then I shake every hand, I'm greeting them and starting my day, my voice drops a little bit, and I get much slower and crisper and clearer. And really all I have to do is change the tone or frequency of my voice to shift the room. It's like, it's not like trying to hypnotize them. It's just what I'm noticing, what they're reacting to. And of course, when I get excited, they're excited, and it's a balance act in the classroom. So they're so very well aware, and they do totally understand frequencies and energies. And yeah. I think everything you're sharing is so exciting because it's more of the positive direction of not an optimistic road of one day. It's like, okay, no, we're all sharing these wealth of information and making this common. And that's, I think, key for changing things, for recognizing things and protecting ourselves. Am I right, peeps? What'd you say, Angel Wings? Everything is energy and frequency. Some of us make it complicated. Just go with the flow. Open your perspective. Yes, I just shared something on perspective with my little dude because I'm watching how people are navigating these weather wars right now in the modification. And perspective is everything. It's also, I'm watching very carefully because some are still trying to create war with each other instead of, I think the common goal is let's help this targeted place. And more than not are helping the targeted place, I think. But yeah. Well, there's a couple good ones here. Children love to explore and learn. Okay. Professor, natural humans are superhumans. Our capabilities have been, oh, you and your words, obfuscated, but are being brought to consciousness by people like Heidi and Sean. You might really, I don't know if you saw it, but Professor and I had a conversation, Sean, you really enjoy. And Sean, you might enjoy having a conversation with Professor Bauer. Your two brain powers would, that would be an exciting episode
Thanks,
to watch.
Professor.
Cheers, cheers, Bauer. Well, Mr. Sean, what are some more thoughts here you have before we close up for the day? Where do you feel us going as a collective humanity? Where are we at and where are we going?
Yeah, they're gonna. The dark is gonna keep hammering down with their cards until we become immune or not letting it happen and detach from them. Which with each system, which can happen at an energetic level, and each person is doing work in themselves and their higher self, whether they know it or not. So they ultimately won't be able to win for long. It's mostly about delaying things and retaining power and control. And that's the reflection internally that the government is control or centralized control system. So if you understand your centralized control system and take back control, which is the main control center is usually in the soul, in the solar plexus, and it reflects the physical body. Although there's a lot of things that try to stop a person from getting to the core of that, like the driver's wheel or the throne. And that's also shown in the show and movie Lucy and Limitless, of like when they're like, what happens if you turn on more of your brain power? Oh, you get more control of your body systems, and what even more? Oh, external control, which leads to telekinesis. A lot of abilities go into influence over a type of energy and then building with it structures and operating systems. So new evolutions that will be happening, and people are being born now into which will affect all consciousness, and people can find the solutions to various things in their life and then reflect that solution to the collective consciousness, and then it permeates, and you get past the barriers and the mind control and the limitation. Then you can have that spread like a love virus or awareness virus in a good way. And then with teaching the kids, like we were talking about, that is a big thing. So I think especially if they learn how to expand into their multidimensional nature, their ability to influence over things, find the solution to problems, empower their emotions and their ability to stabilize themselves in love, be safer, and build up from the root and through all the chakras for each mystery school of ability they do, they can go into clairaudience, where they can talk to their army and beings and guides and things that they can influence events in a distance. Because a lot of people that are here now on this earth are brave and are, it's the chess move of some of the lightest and darkest beings on in existence in a game that's very limited and heaviness of weights of reality on us to box us in from what our greater capability that we had in other worlds were. So a lot of royalty is here from different places. So a lot of people, like the psychic kids, crystal kids, like super psychics are being born now. And there's a tug of war on what they manifest and if they manifest their abilities. But everyone has these dormant things in them. and a plan A versus whatever plan they are in now that they came in with whatever came at them in the chess game. Them being able to open up their heart leads to being able to translate energy and emotion. Emotion is energy in motion that comes with information. And then the more expanded their heart is, the faster they're able to translate it. And they can translate from their greater consciousness, the field, problem solution, psychometry into objects, and then get the solutions to things fast. Piece together abilities, translate Akashic record, their soul, DNA, who they are. And that's why people need to take care of their kids, so their love is as big as possible and their heart is as big as possible, and they feel safe enough to be nourished to where it supports itself against any darkness that they'll be facing in the future, so that they can gain that greater knowledge and insight. Then with the vision, same thing, it feels safer. They can go inward and then travel and explore throughout the universe from wherever they are in meditation. That is the big, kind of question, like, that we got to kind of keep asking more and more kids. How the heck can I get you to meditate? Because it's hard. And then if we can get them to be inspired and have the will to meditate, then they can go inward and then carry a greater vision, questing ability, and travel and astral travel ability to where they can go many places and then bring something back. Then telekinesis. There's a vault of superpowers in people, in everyone, in their solar plexus. And it needs a lot of stuff to support itself with what we're dealing with. But some people have done a lot of work from other lives to make that strong. So there will be people coming out with more abilities. There are things that are suppressing and stealing and making like altars, like with the government, or negative abduction through ETs to suppress those. But they're also falling into our trap, because a lot of these negative ETs are in lack. They're in evil. They're mind controlled. They're enslaved. There's reasons for their existence. So we're finding out about them, and they enter our trap because they want what we have. We become the cure for them. We're like an empathic love virus trap for like the Draco that eventually has a timeline. If we succeed, that will, not really saying that we'll make them our bitch, but they are going to owe us. And then if we do it with love, then they're going to want to help us, and they're going to be like ground troops to protect from worse evils. But that's a potential timeline, and a lot of people don't like the Draco, so I understand. But do whatever you need to do to protect yourself. What'd you say?
I embrace my inner Draco.
Yeah, you're of the universe. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
I was rejecting a part of yourself.
Right. Or those past memories and moments I've had, my human experience, I've been taken over 1,000%. I look back at times and I'm like, oh, something was in me or attached to me or whatever it was. But what a learning experience. Holy smokes. And I can see that now. So yeah, I would probably do that again. I was smiling so big before, because where we left it after our episode 2 weeks ago on your show, you were inspiring me. I'm talking about, I got to start writing more and getting this thing together and all that. And I'm like, what is this block? And I realized it was a curriculum thing, because I love the experience. I love the child, because working with a child, you have to adapt in the moment. And it's just, that's my rush. It's like, there's a trouble kid, I'm going to get them. Like, I'm going to get their nervous system regulated. I'm going to get them to it. They're going to enjoy this feeling. And sure enough, I scoop them under my wing and I can do it. So I'm smiling so big because I did just finish one little bit that I'm tweaking of it's me, like a visual, but to send to children, like a meditation, a walking meditation, and not like necessarily, now close your eyes and I'm going to talk. I'm talking to them, because there's a way that you can get a child to a place that they understand the concept that they need to drop into themselves. And so, you inspired me with that last conversation. So if anyone catches that, you'll catch the end of it. And then you'll understand what I've been working on. So in
Beautiful.
addition to all the other
Right.
things, the program, I think there needs to be more interaction with the kids. And that's where I come in. It's hard to lay out a blueprint for parents because everybody's choosing so many different avenues you could go on. And there's also so many critics. So I can only share what I'm doing, and maybe that will inspire others. And then I can develop actual new programs for the actual children. So that's going to be fun. And maybe a TV show one day. So that'd be great. Yeah.
Wonderful. I'd love to see that. And
Yeah.
thank you for working on that. And you remind me of an ability that I found out about that. I forget the exact title that was used, but it's like I remember seeing a person that could bring out hidden talents of any individual they talk to. They could discover what they're meant to do, what they're a savant at, that they would thrive and expand greatly into, that it's in their auric field, it's in their mission, and you can train your ability to sense and diagnose that and have it come to you, and then you put like an instrument in the person's hand and they just thrive with it, or present a concept of exploration to them, and it just unfolds in them, and they get such passion and uh is like it just, their body pushes them in that direction with great power. And there are aspects to that based on who they've been in past lives, etc., and their DNA. But I think you have that talent too.
Oh, nice. Thank you for that. Hey, welcome to that's the High Vibe Human Experience Hangout. It started 4 years ago, really, with just a couple littles. And I like these conversations. I like to see what everybody's got some amazing little ability or something to share, or just their journey in human experience, because it will assist others. So, yeah, thank you for seeing that. Thank you, Sean. And thank you,
Thank you.
Carol. Thank you. Yes, let's wind. So, folks, you can see the name on there. I'm so sorry. I will add the link after the fact. The Psionic League. It's on is that YouTube? Are you on Rumble too? I don't remember seeing
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Oh, you are. Did I join on there? I must have. Yeah, check that out. Any other platforms, or do you have your website?
Sure. And people can reach me at sonicleague.com, Sonic League YouTube, sonicleague at gmail.com if you want to reach me for like consultation sessions, clearings, depossessions, or unlock your superpowers and go deeper in who you are and reading. And a lot of other cool stuff and abundance, and or unlock your memories, and go into abilities you really like. And yeah, doing little mystery schools and changing my website up now, but there's products on there for abilities. And yeah, there's a lot of videos on my YouTube for examples of people demonstrating these superhuman abilities. And so if you view those, you get the download into your DNA and you get the blueprint of how it's done, and then you can unlock it later. Then I also be
And
doing
that's all
trips around the
ages.
planet.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Is that for
yeah.
all ages? Awesome.
Yeah, there's some videos for kids, but I think YouTube tries to mess with that ability to
Oh
share.
yeah. Even if,
Unfortunately,
yeah, I try to always do the lock not for kids because it doesn't matter. They're going to tag you for something. Gotta be careful on that one.
yeah, that's a good point.
Parent
So for
discretion.
kids, I'd recommend going through the videos, and you don't have to like. I got interviews and all that with powerful people that go into abilities and how to do stuff. You can look at that, but that's not really what the kids want to hear. So I recommend going through the videos on my channel. All of this is free, that have the demonstration in video format of somebody doing a superhuman ability, and then make a playlist for yourself out of those if you want to show them to kids. And you're like, hey, you like flying? I got 3 videos of people flying. Hey, you like telekinesis? I got like over a dozen of those. And then like, because when you research this stuff, the government, the military doesn't want normal people to know about it, because that empowers people and they lose control. So they fund all these, like with the Science Foundation, Nestle, and all these corporations funnel money to paid skeptics to delusion people on like, oh, none of this is possible. You're all fake. Yes, this stuff can be fake. There's all kinds of things so I got the pyrokinesis videos. How that can be faked is if people put a chemical combination under the leaves that they put on fire. I know people fake this. I'm not like delusion about this. But what woke me up to that it's real is when I started training in telekinesis and I was able to do it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is real. And then I was like, these assholes trying to block people from knowing that this is real. And all you need is one. And I got like 400 plus videos, not just my channel, but in playlists that I'll eventually upload of people doing these abilities. And then you download the codes and everyone can eventually have this unfold to them as this world frees itself from these parasites stealing people's abilities, which people are generating a lot of this stuff. Like people, as they grow up, they feel safe enough and all these generators turn on. But then it's like a lighthouse turning on and moths to the flame, and then they try to drain it off you. So if we're able to protect ourselves from that, it builds up in density, and then the ability can form more easily.
That's perfect. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Darlene, I just saw that you said there's an admin block on my page. I'm not surprised if you're on the regular Heidi Pop one, but just go to Heidi Pop Rebooted or go to Linktree/Heidi Pop. Perfect timing. They're walking in.
Yeah. How do people reach you?
Oh, for me, it's Linktree/Heidi Pop is the best one. But I shared your web on there. But I know folks are, I'm just thrilled. And like I said, this was pulled together really quick. I'm going to go back in with the proper thumbnail and add the links that you were sharing before.
You're on Instagram. You're on Facebook. You're on what other platforms? I'm also on those.
Hello, Rumble, Instagram, Facebook.
Are you on X too? I'm on X
yes,
as well.
I have 2 accounts. I just am locked out of those. HP, you know me, was one. And then Heidi from Los Angeles is usually the handle. At Heidi Pop LA is YouTube and TikTok. I have a lot of hopium. I don't like that word anymore.
Oh, nice.
I'm on TikTok. Yeah. So there you go. So you'll find me, Darlene. So thank you. Darlene might have come through your channel. So thank you for that. Sean, thank you for this. Well, this turned out. See, we're like, I don't know.
And so I think you said this on your other video. Are you planning anything else in the future? Like I'm doing a conference in the full disclosure movement and like the same time next year, as well as one for Rion in Sedona. That's his like the Rise of the Guardians thing.
Is that October?
I think it's in March.
Okay.
That one.
Well, that's exciting. Look at you. No, I don't have any conferences. Okay. Yeah, I have not been asked for those. I'm educating kids in LA. That's the scoop. And then working on those little videos.
Are you eventually planning on doing stuff where parents can call you and talk to you and donate to you and stuff?
They can donate if they want. Yeah, they can help me manifest that TV show. But yes, I have had someone reach out before and I just guided her towards a way, that kind of thing. And I'm working on, putting together, curating my daughter's what high school is going to look like for her. So that's a new step for us. So I'm looking forward to sharing how that's going to go. So that's the next thing to share. Yep.
Do you see this big library on the internet of all these parents and teachers writing up things and making, like you're saying, with people sharing skills and making videos of like what they learned in parenting and being a teacher and a homeschool teacher in the future, so people don't have to just keep redoing what someone has already learned, and we can build off of the shoulders of giants.
We can, but it is such an individualized journey. It's really, that's the fun part with homeschooling. You're curating, you're picking things you like, different courses from different places. So that's what's so fun. It's getting people to wake up, not just to weather modification, but to the fact that homeschooling is a good choice. So I think they have to just open their eyes to that first. And so I'm working on all of what you just said, Sean.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing that manifest more.
Yes.
Because you're definitely a strong pillar for that. I
am making it work. I'm learning every day. Those kids are teaching me a lot. And I keep getting inspired. So that's what I'm excited about. So thank you for that. Thank you for having this conversation. Thank you, Mac, all the way from Ireland. Good to see you again. Thanks, folks. He said much needed company tonight. And Darlene, thanks for all the chime-ins. I look forward to connecting more. And Jane, absolutely. Good night, everyone. Keep your vibrations high, she says. That is her beautiful tag. Yeah, thank you, you guys. Thank you for being here. And I can't wait to chat again. Maybe Sean will do like a synaptic circle. I got to bring those suckers back. That's my other little series. That's when there's more than two people. It's a circle.
Sure.
And we'll
me
get
up for
that
that.
conversation going with everybody. Thank you, Angel Wings and Peaceful Penguin. Love you very much. Manifest something strong and beautiful. Absolutely. All right. Well, cool, Sean. Thank you. Stay there 1 second and I'll say goodbye. And bye, everybody. Thanks for playing. We'll see you soon. Smell you later. That's my